My name is Lila. I'm 28 years old and a housewife. My husband Tom works for a company, and we recently had our baby girl, Elena. She is so beautiful, and I could look at her for hours. My mom says Elena looks just like me when I was little. Today, I invited my parents over to meet her for the first time. During breakfast, I asked Tom, "Have your parents met Elena yet?" Tom hesitated before answering, "No, they haven't. My parents don't like children. They only had me because they felt they had to, and they made it clear they didn't want more kids. They aren't interested in meeting Elena." When I told them about her, they said not to bring her until she's an adult. Can you believe that? I was shocked. That's hard to believe. I've met your parents before, and they didn't seem like they would dislike kids so much. Is it really true that they wouldn't want to see their own grandchild? Tom sighed. I'll send them a picture. Maybe that will change their minds. I'll keep trying to convince them. Tom sent his parents a picture of Elena, but their response wasn't great. Over the next few months, Tom kept trying, but they didn't change their minds. One evening, almost 10 months after Elena was born, I asked, "Have your parents changed their minds yet?" Tom shook his head. "No, they still don't want to meet her. I've tried everything, but they won't reconsider. I feel like a bad dad." I held his hand and said, "Tom, you're not a bad dad. Elena and I see how hard you're trying, and we love you for it." I smiled at our baby, who was peacefully napping in her crib. "Right, Elena?" Tom smiled back at me. "Thanks, Lila," he said softly. I admired Tom's determination, but I was starting to get tired of trying to cheer him up. If his parents didn't want to meet Elena, I was ready to accept it and move on. But I didn't want to say that out loud because I knew it mattered so much to him. What if one day Elena asked why she never met her grandparents? How could I explain that they didn't care about her? As Elena's first birthday neared, something surprising happened. I got a phone call from Tom's mom. "Leah, it's been a while," she said. "Yes, it has. How are you?" I replied, feeling cautious. "We're fine. How is the baby?" she asked, and her sudden interest in Elena surprised me. "She's doing great," I said. "Leah, did we do something to upset you?" she asked quietly. "No, not at all," I answered, feeling confused. "Everything's fine, except for not wanting to meet your granddaughter." "Then why haven't you let us meet her?" she asked, her voice shaking. "If it's hard for you to come here, we can come to you or meet somewhere neutral, like a restaurant. Please, just let us see her, even if it's only once." I was shocked. "You really want to meet her?" "Of course we do," she said, her voice trembling. "Your father and I have been waiting to meet our first grandchild. We'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. Please, Leah." Her words left me speechless. Hadn't Tom told me they didn't want to meet Elena? I explained what Tom had told me, and my mother-in-law seemed just as surprised. At that moment, my mom, who was helping with Elena, overheard the conversation and suggested I give her the phone. "This is Layla's mom," she said warmly, and the two mothers started talking. Elena began crying, so I held her close, my mind racing with questions. Why had Tom told me they didn't want to meet Elena, and how would this change things for our family? As I comforted Elena, I noticed that my mom and mother-in-law had come up with a plan. They asked me to keep it a secret from Tom until everything was settled. A few days later, on Tom's day off, my parents came over for a small family gathering. "Elena just keeps getting cuter, doesn't she?" my mom said, smiling as Elena babbled. "She's getting so good at talking." My dad added, "She's so smart." I smiled and agreed, holding Elena on my lap. It's hard to believe Tom's parents don't want to meet such an adorable granddaughter. "They never liked kids to begin with," my mom said, "but Tom's been trying really hard to change their minds." Good for him, I thought. Since I found out Tom had been lying to both me and my parents, I started doubting everything he said. It was frustrating, but today, everything would come to light. The atmosphere seemed happy, but I could feel the tension building. Everyone was nervous, waiting for the big moment. "What are we waiting for?" Tom asked, not knowing what was about to happen. Just then, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to see Tom's parents standing there. "Mom, Dad, what are you doing here?" Tom stammered, looking shocked. "We're here to meet our granddaughter," his mom said firmly. "Hurry up and bring her out. But first, we need to wash our hands. Where's the bathroom?" Tom was caught off guard. He had been lying to everyone for almost a year, and now his lies were about to be exposed. I decided to play along. "When did they change their minds?" I asked, pretending to be innocent. "They seem really eager to meet her now." Tom muttered, Yeah, I've been talking to them, and I finally convinced them to meet her. His mom quickly replied, "Nice try, Tom, we know the truth. No matter what excuses you make, we're meeting our granddaughter today." After they washed their hands, Tom's parents came over with big smiles, acting like they didn't know what Tom had done. "I never said you couldn't meet her," I said, pretending to be confused. "What's going on? Why this sudden visit?" His dad replied, "We've been wanting to meet her for so long, isn't that right?" At that moment, my parents came in with Elena, who had been in another room. "There she is," my mother-in-law exclaimed, her eyes lighting up. "Oh my goodness, what an adorable angel. Is this really our granddaughter?" Elena giggled and reached for her grandparents. I smiled and said, "She's such a sweetheart. I'm glad you finally got to meet her." Tom looked confused. "What's going on here?" I asked, turning to him. "Why did you lie to both sides and keep them from meeting Elena? You owe us all an explanation." That's when Tom's true reasons came out. He had been worried about the inheritance. As the only child, he assumed everything would go to him, but after Elena was born, he realized she would get a share too. He didn't want that, so he made a plan to keep his parents away from Elena. "You've been thinking about inheritance while your parents are still alive?" I said, shocked. "You kept them from their granddaughter for a year, because of money? That's beyond selfish." Tom stammered, "No, it's not like that. I was just following advice from my boss." "Enough," his mom interrupted. "Thanks to your efforts, we're going straight to a lawyer to make sure everything goes to Elena, and while you're at it," I added, "don't forget to sign the divorce papers." Tom froze. "Lila, no, please don't do this," he begged. "I can't stay married to someone who lies to everyone around him," I said. "It's only a matter of time before you try to manipulate Elena too." "I'm done," Tom pleaded. "Mom, Dad, will you still see Elena if Lila divorces me?" "Of course," his mother replied coldly. "We're cutting ties with you, not our granddaughter." Tom's father added, "We'll make sure our estate is handled properly, and don't worry, Lila, Elena will always have us in her corner." I gathered Elena and prepared to leave. The home I had shared with Tom no longer felt like a place of trust or love. It was just a reminder of the lies that almost tore our family apart. I packed my things and returned to my parents' house. "You're welcome to come too, Mom and Dad," I told them, as we got ready to celebrate Elena's birthday. Tom begged, "Wait, don't leave me here by myself," but his cries were ignored as we headed to my parents' place. Soon after, I finalized the divorce and got full custody of Elena, along with child support. Tom didn't take it well. He got angry at his boss for influencing him and caused trouble at work. Eventually losing his job, he struggled with daily life, often asking his parents for help, but they ignored him. I heard they were planning to sell their house and move far away, so Tom wouldn't be able to find them. At my parents' house, I've been raising Elena with their unwavering support. I managed to land a full-time job, and life is looking brighter. Today is Elena's second birthday, and we're throwing a party. During the celebration, I stood up to make a toast. "Thank you all for coming. If I may, I'd like to propose a toast." Everyone raised their glasses, and Elena, beaming, joined in with a tiny cheers. One of my relatives laughed and said, "She's only 2, right? I've never heard a 2-year-old say something like that so confidently." "Neither have I," another relative said. "Elena loves saying cheers." My mom chimed in. "She practiced with Lila yesterday, and she did great." Surrounded by love, Elena is growing into a bright, happy little girl, a true treasure to everyone around her. I reflect on how far we've come and feel nothing but gratitude for the love and support we have. After the party, I arrived home and was greeted with warmth. My mom said, "Welcome back. Jel will be bringing her fiancé soon." "Jel's getting married?" I asked, still processing the news. It didn't feel real. That day, my sister Jel came home to announce her engagement. I also decided to visit my parents to share my own exciting news. "Jel's getting married, and now I'm going to be a mom too. So many happy events," I exclaimed. Jel said, "It's been such a whirlwind. By the way, I heard you left your new job. Was something wrong?" "It's a long story," I admitted. "I didn't want to worry you, and I thought everything was resolved once I married Peter." Jel's fiancé, Josh, entered the room. "Hi, I'm Josh, Jel's fiancé," he introduced himself. "Nice to meet you," I said, smiling. "Oh, you're Josh. You're younger than I expected." Despite my reassurances, Josh seemed nervous. "When's the wedding?" I asked. "We haven't set a date yet," Jel replied. We need to coordinate it with your due date now that we know you're pregnant. Josh looked even paler and stammered, "Congratulations." Something about Josh's nervous demeanor unsettled me. He reminded me of someone from my past, but I couldn't quite place it. The day of Jill's wedding arrived, filled with joy for some and anxiety for me, as I got up to use the restroom. Supporting my heavy belly, my phone rang. "Hello?" I answered. The voice on the other end sent chills down my spine. "Have you forgotten the man you betrayed?" John hissed. "You and your unborn child should disappear, you con artist." Before I could respond, I felt a violent shove from behind. I barely grabbed the handrail to avoid falling down the stairs. Spinning around, I saw Jill's future mother-in-law glaring at me. "You've trampled on Josh's feelings, and you won't get away with it," she shouted, lunging at me again. "Stop." Peter, my husband, appeared and restrained her. Chaos erupted as John stepped from the shadows. "So you're still alive," he sneered. "You think you can cover your tracks by marrying that thug and having his kid? I'll make sure neither of you survives." John picked up an ashtray and threw it at me, but Peter quickly disarmed him, pinning John to the ground. The wedding descended into chaos. An emergency meeting was called with John, his mother, Josh, and our families in a tent room. "I'm so sorry," Josh said, his voice trembling, but John slammed his fist on the table. "Why are you apologizing? The one at fault here is her." He pointed at me, spouting delusional accusations. "You promised to marry me, but instead, you betrayed me and got pregnant by that thug." Peter calmly replied, "Enough, your lies won't hold up. We have proof of your attempted murder." "What proof?" John scoffed. Jill stepped forward, holding a camera. "Actually, we recorded everything. This footage shows your mother pushing Emma down the stairs." John and his mother went pale. "We've already called the police," Peter added. John and his mother were arrested and later faced charges for attempted murder. Josh, who had been manipulated by his family for years, cut ties with them. He later visited us, tearfully apologizing for their actions. Meanwhile, Jill and I moved forward with our lives. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and Jill remained optimistic about her future. Though the ordeal left scars, our family grew stronger, united by love and resilience.